The Film Slice Crew Review 2018. All the movies, the best and the worst. Well, not all of them. Selectively, we've picked
all the
best.
bits.
Some of them. Some of the movies.
Hey team, Vegas Dragon here. Welcome to the Film Slice Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Kane Diggly Wiggly Kane Dogs, and the man formerly known as Brody. This episode known as...
Betty.
Betty.
The name's Betty.
Name's Betty.
Don't cross me.
Alright, this week we're doing something a little bit different. We hit our milestone, 52 weeks. Last episode, we've done a full year of reviews, so we're going to do the best and the worst of 2018.
Some were good, some were bad. Now we're going to have a chat.
Oh, gold.
So, Jordan, when did you see all of the movies?
I saw most of them last year.
Very good, yeah.
Unusual.
And what did you think of them collectively?
Collectively, not a terrible bunch, but it was far easier for me to pick a best movie than it was for me to pick a worst movie. So probably more negative than positive. But,
Fair enough.
do you want to give a brief explanation of how we're going to be doing this?
Sure thing. Okay, so basically we've decided we're going to all individually... We haven't told anyone our answers yet, but individually we're going to be picking our best film of the year, our worst film of the year, and then also an honourable mention. So this can be an honourable or a dishonourable mention.
Yep.
So all in all, there should be 9 movies we talk about,
Yep.
plus our slicey slices, because we've actually got some people commenting on it.
Some
for
people
once,
have
which was
written
great.
in. Would you like to segue right into that?
Sure, let's see what our...
Let me just turn on the segue.
All right, lads, you know, every week I put up on Instagram and Twitter, and Kane Dogs, you alone do Facebook.
I do.
About what we're doing.
One man stands alone in the face of Facebook.
Normally it's a movie, but this time we asked what their favourite and worst movies were of 2018, and normally no one replies. Guess what, mate?
What?
We got 2?
We bloody got some, I tell you what.
Oh,
Man, Betty's happy.
look at Betty
That makes
doing
Betty happy.
doing
In
Betty's
fact,
dance.
Yes, we did get 2. On Instagram, we got
Betty's always right.
from our
Get ready
mate...
for Betty. Hashtag get ready for Betty.
2019,
Ready,
get
steady,
ready
Betty.
for Betty. All right, so this is from Connor Kelly, our longtime listener. He says, "Great art, guys. I answered on Facebook. Hopefully you saw it." Strangers in a Cinema wrote, "Cold War is staggeringly beautiful." We didn't watch that one.
I didn't even hear that one.
Don't
Cold War.
recognize it, but thank you, Strangers in the Cinema.
There's
I'm
one person
sure-
that's like, why didn't they review that movie? Well, there's your shout out. There you go.
Is it a film? Or is it just some like nostalgic look back at the 80s?
Nostalgic indeed. K-Nogs, do you want to hit us up on Facey?
On
'Cause
Facey,
I don't
yep.
think... no one did on Twitter, but are we really supplies? Are we
Are
really
really
supplied?
surprised?
Are we really supplied?
I'm very supplied.
Yeah, we're all supplied. With great content. Over to you, K-Dogs.
All right, so we have Jesse
Jesse Risso.
Hashtag great content.
We have Jesse Richards. Best movies. He's made a list of 5. Which is
Jeez.
cheating.
We give him 2.
He loves his lists.
Best movies. We have 1, A Quiet Place. 2, Annihilation.
Didn't watch
3,
it. Didn't watch
You
it.
Were Never Really Here. 4,
watch it.
Hereditary. And 5,
watch it.
Vice.
No, didn't watch any.
He specifically wrote 5 movies.
I
didn't
saw
watch.
Annihilation. I saw Annihilation.
I also-
Annihilation's very good.
I also watched Annihilation on the weekend, and it was also pretty good.
Yeah, A Quiet Place is the film that I wanted to see that I never got to see.
Yeah. For worst movies, he wrote 1, The Predator. 2, The Predator. 3, The Predator. 4, The Predator. And 5, The Predator.
Yeah, fair enough.
Did we watch that?
Yeah, man after my own heart.
Sinead Gregor wrote in. She wrote, worst movie I saw would be Lady Bird, which I found super boring.
Ouch.
And best movie of the year was Deadpool 2. I thought it was incredibly funny and have seen it numerous times since its release, including the super duper release.
Yeah, no.
Fair enough.
Kirby Heinz. Hard to pick, really. Maybe best movie is A Star is Born or Upgrade or Deadpool 2. Worst movie would be something so
choices.
crap I've forgotten it existed. That's
Fair
a fair
enough.
call. All right, we have Connor Kelly. Best movie, Avengers Infinity War. Second best, Spider-Verse.
Good choice.
Favorite comedy, Game Night. Special mention to Bohemian Rhapsody. Can't pick a worst. The only other movies I've seen this year I remember are Black Panther and Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they both were okay.
Fair enough.
And then he wrote, second comment, never mind, worst movie is Venom. That was one of the movies I did have to contemplate with. That was, yeah.
Fair enough. All good choices as well. Thank you, Connor.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
everyone.
Well, we're still going. Sorry. Yep.
Still going.
Yep.
Whoa!
My dad, Peter Kane. Worst film of the year for him was Skyscraper.
Sky's
Best
Also,
fi-
special guest on the Films Life
Special
podcast
guest, yeah, he's
in
been
episode
on 3 billboards, whichever one that was.
3 billboards.
Really broke the tone of that episode. Really. And best film for dad was Black Panther.
There you go. That was it.
That's it.
That's what our Slicey Slices thought of
Thank you guys
2018.
for supporting us for a year.
It's good. Yeah, it's good
Yeah,
to,
we
good to
appreciate
hear
it.
that we actually get heard. Cool. All right, let's head on into it. We are going to start with our honourable mentions.
First
I think
off-
would be
Start with
good.
honourable mentions.
Before we run into anything, spoilers.
Yes.
We're gonna
Spoilers for everything.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about these
Spoilers
films.
for pretty much any movie in 2018.
Now this
so if
isn't-
you've been living under a rock for a year, maybe not the best podcast to start.
Maybe
on.
not the bed podcast you could be starting on. That's true, Angus.
That done
Nice.
said right, Game Dogs.
Good, man. Also, though, this isn't a full review of each individual
Nah,
film.
we're not gonna go in super in depth.
We've decided that all the films we would pick for Best and Worst would be ones that we have reviewed on this podcast last year. So if you're interested in hearing our thoughts more deeper, find us.
Don't listen to this.
Go check it
Contact
out.
Jordan on Facebook.
Contact me personally. Send me your details, and I will send you a CD-ROM with
That
the podcast.
contains his address.
Yeah, with my address and an inflatable picture of Angus, which you can set up in the hallway at your door or something like that.
Not an inflatable Angus, an inflatable picture
Picture.
of Angus.
It's just a square. It's just basically the same size as a mattress. You just inflate it up to a large rectangle.
That way you can sleep with Angus, which all slices want to do.
You can sleep on top of Angus.
But if you're a slicer, you know that Betty,
Yeah, don't
Betty
pop
is
me.
your man.
Betty is where you want to be. Oh,
there.
Black Betty. Bam, bam. That's a different song now.
Yep.
Anyway, honorable
Okay,
mentions
yeah, so we're
first.
going to start off with honourable
Okay.
mentions, I think. Who wants to go first?
I can if you
Broadman.
like.
Yep.
My honourable mention for 2018 is Ready Player One. Who saw that one coming?
Right, for positive or negative?
Positive.
Okay.
I thought that the car chase in Ready Player One is one of like the racing scene.
The first level, yes.
is one of the best pieces of action that I've ever seen. It's like such a great set piece, and it's like incredibly good looking, and it's like action packed and so thrilling to watch. And also, none of the impact or anything gets drowned out by music. There's no music in the scene, so it's just like pure action for like maybe like 8 or 9 minutes. And I thought it was just like that bit of line. A lot of the rest of the film was pretty not very great. Yep.
Because this was an actual contender for me for worst film of the year, Ready Player
Yeah,
One. Because
but-
I did forget it came out, and then the more I thought about it, the more I hated it.
But that section there, that car chase
But,
section,
yeah.
was excellent.
Yep.
And I would love to see anything more like that in other films. I would love to just own a DVD or just like have the video of that like 9-minute sequence to watch.
Makes you think that whole
It's
movie,
probably on like it's probably
that whole movie
online
might be
somewhere.
better in silence.
All right, K-Dogs, let's move on. Your honourable / dishonourable mention.
That's somewhere surprise you both that I've picked an honourable mention. As negative as I am, and as hard as it was to pick movies that I hated, it was harder for me to pick movies that I thought should be at the top. And this movie was one I didn't think would get a mention if I didn't bring it up. The Meg.
The Meg.
The Meg.
No.
No.
The Meg is amazing. I watched it again a couple of days ago.
It's not, though.
No, but here's the thing. Not only did I watch the movie again, I went back and listened to our podcast. None of us collectively had any negatives. Not
Yeah.
only did we have no negatives, Brody called it for best film of the year.
Oh, really?
This movie is just, it should have been a bad movie for so many reasons, and the reason I think it should be a bad movie is because rarely do we get any monster movies like this that are any good now. And this was a really fun monster movie. And
It was
that's-
dumb fun, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
but
dumb
we
fun,
don't.
yeah.
But that's what they should be, and it was done right. It wasn't.
Yeah.
That's why I think it gets my honourable mention. I don't think it was technically the greatest movie ever made. Certainly, maybe not the greatest movie of 2018, but it's one of those films where, like, a couple of weeks before that, we saw Rampage, and it was the worst piece of crap ever. And we kind of expected it to be because most of these types of films usually are at this point. The only ones that we've sort of come to enjoy as a group is we all get together and really enjoy making fun of the Sharknado films. But they're not commercially big monster films. They're just sort of little things. Whereas The Meg was a commercially premiered movie that was a fun monster film that was also just really entertaining. And that is really rare. And watching it again, knowing everything that's going to happen, it was still awesome. So, like, the fact that there were 2 sharks, I forgot that when I watched it again, because they killed the shark, and I was like, I don't remember them killing it. Oh, that's right, it's a fucking second one.
Yeah.
And Jason Statham plays it perfectly, like, right along the line of action hero and comedian. Like,
Yeah.
he plays it over the top, but not so over the top that it pulls you out of the drama of the story. All the characters are just deep enough for you to like them, but not so deep that you feel like you're getting excess exposition for no reason about characters' backstories that you don't care about.
That's the kind of film where it's like, you know, when you're watching one of these like shitty monster films, and you just have that thought in your mind where it's like, oh, it would be amazing if he did this.
Yeah.
That's the film where they do that.
They do that,
Every,
yeah.
Anytime
And it
when
works,
you, when,
though.
when you think, oh, it'd be amazing if they did this, then they do that, and so it's like it's kind of amazing that they were like,
they-
it was like, yeah, he can like jump out, they were like jump onto the side of it, stab it in his
And the
face,
thing
or
is
whatever,
not
and
only,
you're like, yeah,
not only did they do comedy really well, but they also built tension really well. And they did, and so many monster movies make the mistake of thinking that if we make it super gory, that'll build tension. And it almost never does for me.
well, it's like
It's
the
almost
other
like-
monster film this year was like Rampage, right?
Yeah.
Giant monsters.
And it was
you-
so bad
yeah,
because there was
and that
no
just
tension
terrible.
in anything that happened. I didn't care about any of the characters. At no point did I feel like anyone was in danger. Whereas any single
And
time
they
anyone...
never did that cool, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
it was always like all trying to be too grounded for a giant monster film.
So it's been released that there was an alternate written ending for the make that I heard about only a couple of weeks ago that they didn't do because it was too over the top. And I still think it would have been great. And the alternate ending was... the actual ending is Jason Statham like cuts open the shark and then a couple of other sharks like eat it and stuff like that. The alternate ending, he also stabs it in an eye with a spear whilst in the air. I don't know if you guys remember that.
yeah,
It's
it
fucking
was the
great.
best. It was the best bit.
The alternate... Well, your favourite bit of that movie was that the director was called Turtle Torb.
Yeah,
But that was your positive. But the alternate ending was going to be Jason Statham gets purposely eaten alive by the shark and then punches the heart until it explodes with his bare hands. And that also is just amazing. But
I'm also going to go on the positive side, just to be different. An honorable mention. It's one of those movies where you kind of forget about it and you flick through Netflix or whatever, and you see it and you're like, oh yeah, I could watch that again. Is Tag.
yeah,
Tag.
I saw that twice.
Yeah,
that was a great film.
Really, really enjoyed it, and it wasn't until looking at my photo I'm like, who the fuck is that meant to be? But then I remember the film and how much I loved it, and it's one of those kind of easygoing movies. Besides the whole abortion thing, it's one of those like easygoing movies that you can watch with your friends, and
Very, very much a mate's
It's-
film.
yeah, very, very much so. And it just kind of gives you that nostalgia of like back in the day when
Back
you
in
were
the
that
day.
close with your mates and like
Yeah, no,
you
I
still
agree.
loved your
Yeah,
friends.
we all
and-
hate each other now. So.
Yeah. And you can tell that the actors had fun on set, and that translates really
yeah,
well.
definitely. Yeah, and like cinematically, it was a bit of fun as well. Like it wasn't just
Yeah.
a stock
They
standard.
had some good
like-
shots.
Jake Johnson,
Jake
also known
Johnson's-
as Peter Parker.
Yeah, it's Peter
Yeah.
Parker in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Chili's opening scene was just fantastic in that, where it was the camera like strapped
like,
to him
yeah.
and it's like really
the
intense.
chase
It was
scene
one
on
of
the
those.
street.
I
yeah.
think we talk about it in Blockers that a lot of these comedies tend to all look like they're all shot in the same suburban street,
Yeah,
whereas this
they were-
one
That one
didn't.
didn't. That one
This
looked,
had
it looked good.
good different sort of locations and
Yeah,
stuff like
definitely.
that. Felt like a fresh film.
Yep, sure. All right, let's head on into our worst films of 2018.
Worst of the worst.
Are we happy going around in a circle, boys?
Yeah, I think that
Broadman,
works
do you
fine.
want to start off with
Predator was so bad. It was so bad. I completely and wholeheartedly agree with my brother that Predator is the top 5 worst films of 2018.
What's amazing, Brody, is, again, because to do research for what I wanted to say about this, I tried to remember what we said about the films when we reviewed them. You were really positive about that film. You
Really?
were very positive about the Predator
It's
film.
so bad.
And I was really angry. Because
It's
I
so
was
bad.
so angry at that film, and you were like, "No, this is a fun romp," and I was like, "I didn't invent the term romp, so you can call Predator a fun romp."
It was so bad. It fails in every aspect that it tries to succeed in.
Yeah.
It fails in comedy, action, suspense, horror, and visuals. It's like every single thing that they tried to do, it fails in. Like, there were some good comedy moments, and I completely hold that to Michael Keegan-Key being absolutely hilariously funny. But there was still so many comedy moments that were really bad. That fell completely flat.
Yeah.
And there were so many moments with all of the actors that felt like they acted it terribly. And then the Predator looked terrible. And the horror in the scene at night at the end. And like that was meant to be thrilling and it wasn't. the action wasn't action packed. You like there was no good action scene in that film, which was definitely meant to be an action comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Above
suspense.
everything
Which is
else.
really weird because I was thinking about this film and I watched the first Predator movie and I was going to come over this week and watch Aliens with you, bro, but you were a bit under the weather.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to remember what the original monster films that this is sort of trying to replicate felt like. And the Predator, the original Predator,
So good.
still holds up today
still
as being
good.
incredible. And one of the best things that it does, and we talk about it in the podcast, is you don't see the Predator until the last 15 minutes of the movie. For the whole film, it's again the same as Jaws. You don't see what is chasing them and what is taking them
Yeah.
in. That's what makes it scary.
Great scene where they're all firing into the forest and they're like, ah! Really awesome 80s action moment. And it's like, we didn't hit a
We
thing.
didn't hit a thing. Yeah.
We hit nothing.
Whereas in this, the first 10-minute, the opening scene is a Predator fighting like 30 dudes in broad daylight, so you see the whole Predator immediately, and people shoot it with rockets and grenade launchers, and then it falls down like a fucking cliff, and then a helicopter shoots it or some shit, and it's bulletproof, and the grenade just like bounces off its
They
mask.
should bloody get Tom Cruise to come in with his with Simon Pegg and Henry Cavill from Mission Impossible crew. Oh, Henry Cavill, he probably can't do it. He's like missing his head. But they could come in from Mission Impossible, whatever. Mission Impossible, The Predator, amazing.
But that was, and
That's not the worst thing about the film. The absolute worst thing about the Predator is Iron Man Predator right at the end.
oh yeah, right at the end. That was
War Machine Predator.
Well,
if
that's
anything,
sorry,
yeah.
War
That's a
Machine
board
Predator.
meeting that just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But the other last thing about that film,
I like to imagine the editor just decided to do that. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he just put on
to fuck
like
with
2
people.
gloves, and he was like, "Oh, these are like really good gauntlets or whatever." And the editor was like, "I'm just gonna chuck in all this CGI." He was like, "Let's put some chain guns on that."
he was watching,
They're just
like, Iron
dragging
Man.
and dropping in like assets from different stuff.
He was watching like Iron Man at the time. He was like, "Oh, why don't we do shit like this?" Calls up director. I'm just gonna wing it. Is that okay? Yeah.
He actually got fired from the production of Iron Man. He's like, I'll show them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
I'll make the
I've been
second best
working on
film."
these assets for the last 10 months.
Yeah.
All right, Ken Dogs, your most negative of 2018.
Yep. So mine is Solo: A Star Wars Story, and the reason it is my negative, I'm gonna do this really quickly as fast as I can. When I think of a bad film, I have two things that I weigh up. One, I go, if I think this film is gonna be bad and it's got a low budget and no name actors, and I walk out and it was bad, I'm not that surprised or disappointed. But if a film has a huge franchise name behind it, good actors, or a long build up, or they've taken it should be good, and I walk out and that's bad. In my opinion, that's a worse film. So there are worse films than Solo, but Solo should have been a great film in my opinion. Star Wars and Han Solo being my favorite character from Star Wars, and the reason he's my favorite character is because he's so mysterious. He's got this background that you know almost nothing about, and there's so much. There's so much richness that you can draw from with that universe to create an interesting background for him. And the one we got, it's
How'd you get your name?
how'd you get your name? Yeah, I was by myself, so they called me Solo. How'd you get your gun? Which is supposed to be like one of the coolest blasters ever. Oh, someone chucked it to me
Someone
right
tossed it
before
to me across the fire.
Cool. It was just so much like, why are you like a rogue guy? Oh, I fell in love once, and then
this,
like the girl
and
left.
this,
And like at the
this.
like,
yeah.
and then it was also just like a weird hand-fisted attempt to try and make like a
I had an idea
like
the other day.
Darth Maul is in the end of it,
Oh, yeah.
just so they can do another 3 movies that won't be made.
I had an idea for the other day, a better way to do the gun scene, right?
Yeah.
Where he goes into a gun store when he like becomes a rogue.
Are you thinking the same as the good, the bad, and the ugly? Because I thought that would have been perfect for this.
No.
Okay.
He goes into a gun store and he sees the DL-44, right?
Sure.
On the okay, I think it's called the DL-44 on the wall, and it's like the gun that he ends up using and all that. She finds him, and he's like, "Oh, I want that. How much is that?" And the gun owner's like, he says some sort of ludicrous amount, and he's like, "Oh, okay, never mind." And he picks a different gun, and he has the cheaper gun for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't actually buy the gun in the film.
Yeah.
I would love that because it's like hinting at like
Yeah.
that's the one that he wants.
Here's what
but
I-
he can't afford it yet.
Here's
so
what
he gets a different one.
Here's what I always sort of pictured, because I've
my
always
idea.
sort of dreamed up my own backstories for Han Solo since I was
Yeah.
a kid, because he didn't have one, and I was quite happy doing that. And one of the things I always come up with, because my dad used to watch with the spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
You and me are now fans of them. But there's a scene in The Good and the Bad, the Ugly, where the character playing the Ugly goes into a gun store and he sees like 4 or 5 different guns, and he picks them all up, but none of them are really good enough. And so he starts pulling them all apart and makeshifts his own gun. And I thought it would have been really cool if they took something like that for Han Solo and he walks into a gun store, or he kills a bunch of guys and he finds a bunch of different pistols and none of them are quite right. And so throughout the movie, he slowly like rigs up his own gun, and that's how he sort of comes up with it. And that way it's a gun that is like, you know, it's got a story and it's personal to Han Solo, and it's still got some mystery behind it. Not anyone can just have that blaster. I just think with what they could have done, and with how excited I was before I saw any trailers that they were doing a Han Solo prequel, and it was set so far previous to where we first see Han that they could do anything. Like, you don't even have to worry about whether it'll follow on, because they did it like 30 years before the next movie is set. You could have done anything. That's why it's my worst film, I guess.
Fair call. All right, I agree with you. Solo was bad. Another few bad ones was Jurassic World. I forgot that even existed.
Jurassic World was bad. Pitch Perfect 3 was bad.
Venom, I think I don't know if you're picking this, but I would like to...
Rampage was just nothing.
I was going to say Venom just because that movie is doing really well financially, and I don't get why, because it's not very good.
No.
Yeah.
It's just better than shit.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm going to pick for my worst movie of 2018, Harry Potter, but not Harry Potter, the Fantastic Grindelwald.
Beasts.
Crimes of
Grindelwald.
Yeah, Crimes of Grindelwald.
Bad name, bad film.
Bad name. It was literally
It would have been a good
the middle
name if
part
the
of
film was
and-
anything to do with the crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he
It
committed
was
no
not
such
good.
crimes, nor did we see any of
No,
it
he
or
kind of
care.
just walked around.
He just walked around telling
Yeah.
other people to kill small children or shooting lightning into the sky or whatever his deal was.
Nor were there a lot of Fantastic Beasts. I
No,
think
there was
one.
one or two.
And then a
And it
little
was a lot of-
hedgehog that could sniff out gold.
And it was a lot of, the more I think about it, it was a lot
Which
of...
was in the first one as well.
Which is- yeah.
It was a lot of just people at the end just being like, well, this is my backstory, and it's just
Yeah.
a lot of... And then it like goes around the circle to the next one, and it's like, well, this is my backstory, and then you realise they're kind of interlinked, and then...
for half of them, they didn't even do backstory.
Yeah, no,
half
it
of,
does.
half of them, it was just a person doing, this is what I'm choosing to do.
It's like,
So
this
there's
is
no
a name
reason.
that you should recognise from somewhere in the books.
Yeah,
And
and,
my
one of the
biggest-
witches decides to side with Grindelwald, and you don't know why.
And here's my biggest flaw with the Harry Potter films in general is whenever I watch them, they don't make sense. Look, you can argue it, send me an email, I don't care. They don't make
Send me
sense.
an email. Hashtag not giving out my email.
They don't make sense unless you've read the book. And any single time I've talked to anyone, they're like, oh, this makes sense if you read the book.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't read the book,
Yeah.
so it doesn't.
Yeah, that's
There you
it. But yeah, the Harry Potter films are definitely my guilty pleasures. Like even though there's films that are much worse than the other films, it's like I still watch them. I still enjoy watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Fantastic Beasts film, like I wasn't a big fan of the first one, and to have the second one be that bad,
Yeah.
and like not make any sense.
Thing is it
I just
absolutely could have
really-
made it really good, because all I wanted
Yeah.
was a coherent... Because I really want to get into Harry Potter, but I can't. Because
Yeah.
no matter how much I try to watch it, it just doesn't actually make sense.
Yeah, that film was bad.
Mm.
Is that your worst film of the year?
That's my
Alex?
worst film of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst film just because it didn't make sense.
was just- yeah, it was nothing.
Wasn't much of a film
It
anyway,
felt-
and it didn't really live up to.
It also didn't make me really want to like any of the characters as well.
Yeah.
So there was no saving grace in that film.
You know how Iron Man 2 was just about setting up like the Avengers and Iron Man 3? This felt like it was doing that.
All right, we're moving on to the pointy end of the podcast now. The absolute best of 2018, in our humble opinion, of course. Birdman.
Start off with me. My best film.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead. And guess it.
Billboards.
No, you are incorrect. My
You
best
idiot.
film of 2018 is Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
It is probably the only film that I saw last year that I'm expecting to watch again, except for maybe some of the Marvel films. And it is one of my favorite Star Wars films. I completely agree with a lot of things that Jordan says, but unlike him, I can very much easily get past any sort of hang-ups for Han Solo. I immediately have that disconnect. I can disconnect that film
Yep.
from the other films instantly. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons why you hate that film, right? I think that there are better films. I think that A Star Is Born is a better film than
Yep.
Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Agreed.
That's going to happen a lot with us, because I think, again, A Star Is Born is probably going to be taking the Oscar for best film this year, and
Yeah.
it's not my best film either.
So there are better films, but I love Star Wars and I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid. Right? Since those films came out, I was probably watching them when I was 3 years old before I could even remember that I was watching them, right? And so I've probably watched at least one Star Wars film every single year of my entire life. right? Whether I've remembered it or not. And most of the time, probably more than one. And so when that film came around, I really did enjoy that film. I had a lot of problems with it, but it's still probably my second favorite Star Wars film. I absolutely love Empire Strikes Back, and it is the best one, but that is probably my second one. Just because I loved everywhere they went. I just loved every single part of that film. Even though there were a lot of parts that were cliche, but like there were a lot of very, very cliche moments in a lot of the Star Wars films now. And I just loved, like, I think it was another reason why I loved it so much. It was because The Last Jedi was such a low note for me as well. So they had made Last Jedi, and I had hated it so much.
Yeah.
And I was on very much a downer of coming off that film, especially in Star Wars, because I'm a big fan of Star Wars. And so when we got that film, and I really enjoyed it, and I liked all the actors, and I liked where it went and everything, and I was very much happy. And I was like, got to see Darth Maul again. Yeah, it was kind of just thrown in there, but it's still one of the best characters from the prequels.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like nice because like, and there was a moment because I was sitting next to my dad and my brother when we were watching that film, and there was a moment where I saw his toe, and I was like, it's Darth Maul, and I knew it immediately seeing his toe, and then it panned up, and then my brother was like, oh. And I was like, yes, and it was like there was like a gratifying moment in me that I knew who it was before we even saw his like entire foot, and so I don't know, I just love that film, and I expect to watch it a number of times, and I think that is one of those things for me which is very much a part of like your favorite films. There are films that you can watch once and that are excellent, and like some of the best films ever made. But then there are the films that you watch every single year of your life.
Yeah.
That are your best films.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Exactly.
that's why Solo is going to be like that for me.
Sure. And who can hate Woody Harrelson?
Yeah. And yeah, I
Have you
like
seen the end of Venom?
I like
part.
I like all the actors. Even the guy playing Han Solo, I really, really liked him. I could just
Alden Ehrenreich.
yeah.
Sure.
That guy.
He's got a lot of consonants in his name.
Yeah,
Consonants.
I really liked him. I thought that he did a good job being a young Han Solo. I think no matter who they got, no one would have been happy. But I think that he did a pretty bang up job for that job.
Yeah.
And obviously,
I mean, it's no bloody Harrison, but
obviously Childish Gambino,
yeah,
Yeah, it was
he
fantastic.
killed it.
absolutely
He killed it.
excellent.
Yeah,
Want to see a standalone film? Just a
a Lando film.
a Lando
I
film.
can't wait to find out where he got his yellow shirt and his cape and his boots and his gun and his wig and his mustache.
It's going to be called Outlander. Ken Dogs, your favourite film of 2018?
Look, going along the same lines as Brody, this isn't the best film of the year if you're talking technically. I think A Star Is Born is
We
probably.
would suck at the Oscars.
I think A Star Is Born is probably going to take it.
I'm pretty
this
sure
year.
Solo isn't nominated
Yeah.
for an Oscar.
But
Oh, it could be for like visual effects.
as to no surprise to anyone, mine is Infinity War.
yeah.
Now look, a lot of people
See
are
that
going to
coming a
guess
mile
that
away.
this would be my favorite movie because I love this stuff. You only have to talk to me for a few moments about any of these films to realize that I'm passionate about them.
Or anything, and you just find a way to segue back into it.
Nice haircut. Kind of looks like Steve Rogers there.
Yeah, Steve Rogers from the Infinity War movie. As Brody said, this is a film I can see myself watching plenty of times.
I've already seen it a second time, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, I've watched Infinity War like 3 times since. I own it. I'll probably watch it again a couple of months from now, just to take a brief pause in me watching Civil War, just on repeat every other weekend. But if I take aside the fact that I have sort of a kingship with these characters from a childhood, even just as a movie, if you think of, this is the 18th movie in a franchise and it's not shit.
Yeah.
That in
Yeah.
itself is cinematic history.
Yeah.
The fact that it's the 18th movie in a franchise and they're interconnected, the closest thing we have to that is James Bond. I don't think
They're
it comes...
not interconnected.
Yeah, I don't think anything comes close to that, but I think one of the biggest reasons this has hit my best movie is because it is the movie that has had some of the most hype and pressure for it. It's one of those movies where it almost should have been impossible for me to walk out.
Also, excellent marketing where they
Yeah.
CG'd a bunch of stuff into the trailers.
Yeah,
like
that
fake
was and
stuff
wasn't,
to trick
yeah.
people.
And even
Absolutely great
the
marketing.
first trailer gave me shivers because the first trailer is each different Avenger reading certain lines from Nick Fury's like opening quote for the first Avengers movie. Like
Yeah.
there was an idea, like all of that stuff read via like Chris Evans and all of that. And that's really cool. But this movie, I walked out of it being like better than I thought it would be. And I went in with huge expectations. I went in with this being 10 years of culminating some of my favourite films ever, with a cast that I couldn't count on both hands,
Yeah.
let alone remember everyone that's in it, with a build-up from the first, like, at least the build-up from the Avengers movie, where everyone saw the end credit and went, who the fuck is that purple guy?
Yeah.
But this film just should have been fine,
And when
considering the
yeah.
amount of build-up. And the fact that I walked out of it, and everyone I know walked out of it and went, oh my god. And it still has lasting effects in conversations within those topics where you talk about it. And even though I know we're going to get the next Spider-Man and the next Black Panther, I'm still on the edge of my seat waiting for Endgame to see how they're bringing those characters back.
Yeah, because it's one of the biggest like cliffhangers we've seen in a film for quite a while.
Quite a
Very long
while.
time,
But
yeah.
this film has broken cinematic history in so many different levels that just talk like you barely notice until you think about the fact that the MCU is not only something that no one has ever achieved, but the past 10 years of films have been trying to mimic it and have failed, even when the blueprint is being recycled.
Yeah,
It's just insane, and that's why it's my best film. And anyone that says, I don't want to go Mr. Stark quoting Spider-Man, I still tear up over that. I still tear up over that fucking thing. So, yeah. That's my greatest, that's best film of 2018 for me.
very good.
Good
yeah.
choice.
Well explained.
Thank
I
you.
totally agree. I'm not going to choose that one because that would be a cop out. There were a lot of films that I really liked. Spider-Man being one of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Deadpool was also good.
A lot of people have said second is better than the first, and I tend to agree.
Yep.
Deadpool.
Yep.
Yeah.
But lads, I'm going to need your help to bring this one in. My favorite. Here we go. Zoom 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 zoom.
No.
The fact that you...
It is
No.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Thank God! God, thank you.
Thank you.
We were very
God.
worried you were going to pick Pitch
Gotcha.
Perfect 3,
Yeah.
and if you did, the podcast would have ended here, and we'd all go home.
Man, PP3 was such a bad film.
My little
okay.
turnip top.
Bohemian Rhapsody, excellent choice,
Bohemian
Angus.
Rhapsody is my number one film. It was almost Spider-Man. I absolutely love Spider-Man
Yep.
and the reincarnation of the whole Spider-Man as a character. But for this movie did everything I think it was meant to do, which got me back into Queen.
Yeah.
It got me inspired to
Yeah, that film
look.
did something that no other film
Yeah.
is ever like has done for me, where it's made me interested in watching a Queen concert. Something I never would have done if
Yeah.
I had not seen that film.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why it's my absolute favorite, is because right after watching that movie, I just went home and watched the whole concert
Yeah,
from
same.
start to finish.
I listened to
I thought it was
still comes up on my
fantastic.
YouTube now because I kept listening to Queen songs.
There
So
was-
now no
yeah.
matter what I'm
Yeah.
watching on YouTube, it's like next up Bohemian Rhapsody the song. I'm
I
like,
think I think what Bohemian Rhapsody has over A Star Is Born, I think A Star Is Born is an incredibly good film.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's probably
yeah,
a better film than Bohemian Rhapsody. But because Bohemian Rhapsody has that entire nostalgia in it,
Yeah.
it makes it feel like that film was made for you.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
definitely.
A Star Is Born feels like a film that the actors and writers wanted to make. But Bohemian Rhapsody feels like it was made for you because it hits on everything you knew as a kid, as a teenager, hearing that music growing up, and then because it's set in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you watch it and you get this like overwhelming feeling of nostalgia watching it, and it's also a very, very deep and dramatical story. And then they end it on a high note with that Queen concert, and it is
and they
excellent film.
don't like cut too soon on that Queen concert as well. They give
Nah.
you what you
If
wanted
anything,
to see
I
the
wanted
whole
5
movie.
minutes more.
Yeah,
And
another
that's like
song.
when I got home, I watched that actual concert.
Yeah.
I'd put on that concert and watch that thing.
Yeah,
no, good
absolute
call.
fantastic
Since that
film.
movie's come out, it's been bashed quite a bit because it makes all the other members of Queen look completely
second to
No,
Freddie
it makes
Queen.
them all look squeaky clean.
Yeah,
Whereas it's quite well known, yet technically alleged that they were all pretty deep into like, you know, the cocaine and the orgies and all of that sort of stuff. But because the other members are still alive and they all sort of had a hand in that pot, they've all very clearly sort
Yeah.
of asked them not to.
like they,
Into that pot
they have
nostril.
changed. Yeah, pot. Nice.
Yeah,
But
I know what
like
you mean.
they have changed the story quite a bit because like
it
a
was
big
very
plot
much
point-
a film about Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And it was about Freddie Mercury as much as it was about Queen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the thing is I didn't watch that movie so I could see 100% historical accuracy.
Yeah.
I think, as you said, the film is made for people that want to remember Queen, and I think
And that want to remember Freddy too.
historically accurate or not, this movie did, as you said, exactly what it should do. Like, I'm not necessarily going to take every single thing they did as fact in that movie,
Yeah.
but I still walked out being like, wow, Queen, man.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
It's like it's not a documentary.
It was a
it's
bit- it was
a
a-
dramatic retelling.
Thing is it's a band that existed for the people, and it was a movie that was meant to mirror that, and they did that perfectly.
Also, I don't think there was a film last year where I walked out smiling and as happy
Yeah.
as I did when I was walking out of that film.
Yeah.
There was no equal, like, even like walking out of Avengers, and I was like pretty excited on like what the ending of that, or on A Star Is Born. Oh, when actually that wasn't a very happy ending.
Freddie walked out
became
fucking
smiling from
Freddie
that.
walked out clicking his heels.
Walking out of that film, I was so happy. It was just joyful. It's like I wasn't excited for the next film to see how something was happening or anything.
Yeah.
It's like that film just made me feel happy.
It's a great experience.
yeah. In an incredible way.
Definitely. There you go. That's our top films,
Best,
our bottom films,
worst.
and our middle films.
And our middle film. Guys, if you have anything you want to add to that listening, feel free to message us on Facebook or Instagram and all of that
Yeah,
sort of
let us
stuff.
know.
I'd be really interested in hearing your opinions on any of that and all of your favorite
Don't send them to
films.
me. I fucking hate that shit. But
Yeah, send them to
to
me.
Jordan.
Send them to me on Facebook. I love to read that sort of stuff. Also, guys, if you're listening, what are your predictions for the year? What are you guys?
Most
predict?
most.
What's your most
expected-
anticipated film of this
Anticipated.
year?
Oh,
a better
I
word.
had one.
Mine
come back to me because I
Okay,
think-
mine is also going to be Endgame.
Fair enough.
I need to know how it ends. I know that, like, I just do.
I need to know how it ends. I
Thing
also
is-
need to know the game that they're going to end.
Here's the thing, I understand that this isn't the end of the MCU, but it almost is certainly going to be the end of Thor and Iron Man and Captain America and all the characters I've had through sort of high school up till now, growing up with those characters. It'll be the end of that chapter. And that is what I really I want to see it done right, and I'm excited to see it because I don't want to see another 5 Captain America movies until they go crap, or like a whole bunch of other Iron Man movies until they get more stale than Iron Man 3. Like, I'll be happy to see the closing chapter of those characters.
I remembered what it is.
Yep.
Zombieland 2.
Is that coming out this
Okay.
year, is it?
That's coming out this
Oh,
year.
That's
that'll
a
be
good one to
fantastic.
choose.
Yeah.
We
10
we
years
all loved the first
since-
Zombieland
Yep.
film. All
Yep.
still love it. That's a great
Yeah,
one. To end.
so
They've
They've got-
really reinvigorated, like, sort of monster comedy as well.
Yes.
Because that had sort of been a lost genre for a bit until Zombieland
Yeah,
sort of
it
came
kinda
back.
picked it back
At
up.
least for our generation.
yeah.
Yeah. for sure.
Yeah, really brought that back.
Yeah, looking forward to that. That's probably one of my biggest anticipated, of course,
Yeah.
apart from...
Bro, can I
Endgame.
guess yours?
Sure.
The next Star Wars movie.
Yeah, maybe.
Not because you love Star Wars, just because you need to know how it goes.
I'm excited for that Star Wars film. I'm excited for that Star Wars film for 2 reasons. One, because it's going to wrap up this trilogy, which is the very shitty trilogy.
Yeah, fair enough.
2, because they're doing a massive course correction from the last film, because the last film got bashed so much that they brought. I'm pretty sure they brought
Absolutely
back J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they and so he's going to be going through and trying to fix this film.
How
they were
pissed
gonna
off would
give-
you be being J.J. Abrams?
How pissed off would you be being the guy that was meant to direct it
direct
that
it.
got fired?
Because he didn't do it. He didn't actually do anything. He didn't do anything.
He didn't
wrong.
do the second one.
Yeah.
It was
They
going to
were-
be J.J. Abrams, then it was whoever did the second one. I don't really
Yeah.
care. It was so shit.
And then they were going to get a third different person.
Yeah, and they're gonna get a different
And they
guy.
got rid of the third different person. They're like,
But
nah.
imagine
we're
being
not gonna
J.J.
take a chance.
Abrams setting up, because he did the first one, and then being like, oh, who's Rey's parents? And leaving Rey, like, alone to train with Luke, and setting up, like, Kylo Ren and all of these incredible stories, and then walking away and coming back and being like, so how did they end up writing all of those
Well, yeah,
twists?
so
And
some
I'm
guy
like,
just
oh, they-
came in and just took a sledgehammer to do all
He,
the stuff you did.
he basically ignored all of yours and just wrote some different stories.
I wasn't even a big fan of the first one.
How
no.
did the training go with? How did they say the training went with Luke? Oh, he threw his lightsaber off a cliff and then just decided not to train her. Oh, okay, cool. Who did you say Rey's parents were? Oh, we just said they were no one.
I liked
Oh,
that
how did you go with Snoke? We killed him immediately.
in this universe,
Oh, okay.
J.J. Abrams didn't go and see.
Yeah, no, I like to think that he
Last
didn't.
Jedi.
I like to think that he didn't, and he came back to the third one being like, all right, what have we done with? What did we do with like?
What do we got?
How did we go with all of those questions? How did we go trying to answer some of them? And they're like, yeah, we ignored all of them and killed off your main villain. Enjoy writing the third one, you son of a bitch.
Like J.J. Abrams is the school teacher and he's giving it to a kid. It's like,
left
all right, now finish this project.
No. It's
and the
actually
kid's just torn it up.
It's actually very similar to what it's like being a teacher and leaving work for a CRT.
And I'm also excited because I hope they can bring a course correction and make it interesting. But
you know what I'm looking
I
forward to?
don't have a lot of faith.
I'm looking forward to watching all the fans of Star Wars come together and fucking hate each other again when that movie comes out. I absolutely love all the fans of Star Wars because the idea of being a fan of something is when the movie comes out, a whole bunch of people that are fans of the one thing can all sort of come together. That's what happens with the Marvel films, is whenever a Marvel film comes out, all of my brethren just show up on Facebook and we'll have awesome conversations. Whenever Star Wars comes up, you go through the comments, it's just people being like, I'll kill you! I'll kill you too! Like, it's just a whole bunch of hate. And I enjoy reading it. So I'm looking forward to the next Star Wars film just to watch the world burn. Thank you for listening to the film.
The Films Last Podcast, you can reach us on Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff.
We're not picking that one. That's not the one.
Facebook.
Goodbye,
everyone.
See you guys.